All right. Hello, everybody. It is February 13th. We've lost a month. We've already lost a month in 2025. That is downright frightening. But lots of really good stuff going on. I know I put a little teaser in the email for any of you that actually read my emails and said we had a special topic today. I was going to do this just with the people that were on the boat for the white label. Then I decided, no, everybody needs to hear this. So we're doing it on here so you all get the benefit. So as you know, we had four people that created a white label and they walked off the boat with an actual physically functioning saleable product, like with a sales page, with an order button, with a payment gateway. I'm talking about ready to take money. That's been a couple of weeks ago. And I don't think anybody has taken any money yet. And here's why. Usually, usually I lean toward confidence being the reason why for not moving forward. But this is a different reason why. It's equally as evil and it makes no sense whatsoever. And it will paralyze you if you're suffering from this particular disease. And it's thinking that you're not ready. It's thinking that you're not good enough. So, what we're going to talk about today is an MVP, and that's not most valuable player, which you guys all should be anyway. But an MVP is a minimum viable product. As soon as you have a minimal viable product, you should be selling it. And there's a couple of reasons why. Obviously, a minimum viable product isn't complete yet. It is completely okay to sell an incomplete product as long as you're transparent about it. Do you guys remember when I sold Quantum the first time? It had like 13 tools in it. And I said right up front what my plan was. Anybody that wants to get in on it, lock in the beta price. That was marketing, yes. So learn from that, but also learn from the fact that I was taking money in on day one on an MVP. And the thing that made a minimum viable product is I had something to deliver, even though when I first rolled it out, it wasn't automated. When somebody purchased Quantum, they purchased it in Kartra, which I have a fully functioning Kartra account. So that was not a problem putting up a product, putting a button on a page. That was a piece of cake for me. But I didn't know how to do the Zapier to connect the two and all that. So whenever somebody ordered Quantum, I physically had to go log into my Quantum admin panel and create their user and manually send them the email to log in. It was a pain in my ass. I mean, think about that, during any time during my given day to get an email and know, oh shit, I got to go back to my computer and take care of this customer. I want that kind of shit automated in my life. But it wasn't there to begin with. That did not stop me from selling. I had a minimum viable product. It was not done. It was not complete. It was not polished, but it was making me money. It was bringing money over the line and increasing my bottom line. Now, when I have money, let's say I've got three projects at my on my desk. Which one do you think I'm most motivated to work on? The ones that are not paying me anything and don't have a way to pay me anything for a long time,
The
or the
one
one that's actually paying me right now?
cash flows, yeah.
Yeah. So it's highly motivating for you to go in and polish stuff and spend the time that you need to do to make a great product when you're already getting paid for it. I've been doing this since the very beginning of my whole internet marketing space. It was always get paid first and then build what you're getting paid for. And I think a lot of you like are just like no, 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 don't give me money. I'm not done yet. It's not pretty. It's not whatever. That is a disease. The cure is selling. The cure is saying it's good enough, it works, it does these things. Let's sell it. And then let's figure out how to improve upon it after the money's flowing. So this is something that you really, really need to take to heart. If you want to make money, like at Craig's event last week, or time flies, I think it was a week ago. Might have been two, I don't know. But anyway, at Craig's event, I was like, how many people in the room are making $10,000 a month? And a couple of hands went up. And then I threw a little caveat into it from your internet marketing. And then the hands went down. And it was like, if you're not making at least 10,000 a month, it's a hobby, and how long has it been a hobby? 10,000 a month should be your like barrier to entry to be able to call something a business. Because if not, if you're not bringing in, and that doesn't mean you're profiting 10,000, that just means you're invoicing, you're collecting, your business is generating $10,000 in revenue. Doesn't mean it's all profit, doesn't mean it's all going in your pocket. But if you're not up to that, by the time you take your overhead and things out of it, it's like, what are you doing? It's like, you might want to think about, and I can't even say it, you might want to think about an alternative way to make money, like work for somebody. My God, it hurts to even, it hurts to even have that on my radar. But you've got to, in the best way for you to get people to pay you is to figure out what they need. What can you solve for them? What can you supply in trade for dollars? And that whole thing goes back to the profitable market segment. I think everybody needs to really go through that lesson. If you did it and it was a long time ago, maybe you forgot about it. You need to go through and you need to do those initial lessons. Like one of them is the freedom formula. The freedom formula is figuring out why you're here, because nothing will motivate you to get shit done than if you're focused on why you're doing it to begin with. And, a lot of people will say, oh, I'm doing it for humanity and all this crap. Well, that's bullshit. It's money. It all boils down to money. I'm telling you right now, if you sit here in front of me and you tell me money can't buy happiness, I'm going to tell you you don't know where to shop. It's that simple. You're doing this for the money. If we ask why, what's the money important for? Now we're getting closer to your why. Why do you want the money? What's the money going to do for you? And that's where the freedom formula lesson comes in. So you can really, really engross yourself in that. You've got to know, what is it? Why are you here? Why are you in business? Why aren't you just working for somebody? Why aren't you just taking the paycheck and living paycheck to paycheck like everyone else? It's because you're different. You want more out of life. And that means money. The only thing that's going to get you more out of life is money. That's the only way you're going to live in a better place. You're going to drive a better car. You're going to get people that want to put their hands on you and massage you and shit like that feels good. That all comes down to money. If you have money, nobody's going to want to give you a better house. No one's going to give you a better car. No one's going to want to come and rub your back for you. You know, that's what it comes down to. Like Janie is different. I can be sitting there and she'll come up behind me and just rub my shoulders and it just melts me. But that's her gift. But I'm talking about like your life. You're going to need money for people to want to do nice things for you unless you just have really nice friends like Janie. She's awesome. I love her. But here's the thing. Those two lessons are really there for you to do this, to really step into it and see what it feels like. And I'm talking about the freedom formula lesson, the one where you go through and you say, if money weren't an issue, what would my life look like? How would that work? Where would you live? What would you drive? How many times a night would you go out to eat? Maybe you'd have a personal chef. I don't know what that is for you. Maybe you want a bigger boat. You know, whatever it is for you, whatever the thing is that just makes you fly, that's what you want to write down. You want to write down, what does your ideal life look like? And then next to each line item, you write down the cost, the monthly cost. What does it take per month to have this thing be part of my life? And ultimately, you're coming up with a freedom number. You're coming up with, what does your ideal life cost? Everything in this life costs money. So you come up with that number. And now you look at, okay, what am I going to trade a value in turn for dollars? What's my product? What's my service? What am I going to do to trade for money? And how much profit is in each sale of that item, whatever it is. If you're selling widgets, if you're doing an online training course, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's whatever you're going to sell, whatever your business is going to offer in turn for money. How much profit is in each sale? And, some of you might offer a lot of stuff. So just on average, what is a new customer worth to you? How many of those do you have to get per month to make that figure? It's simple math. It's simple math adding up what your cost of your life looks like. It's simple math figuring out how much profit is in me making a sale. And then it's simple math taking that number of profit and dividing it into the life and figuring out, how many sales do I need to make per month to live this life? And if you look at it, if your numbers, it does something to you physically when you look at these numbers. And the thing that it does is it brings a very harsh reality into focus really fast of, holy shit, I can't sell that much. Or, holy shit, I can't deliver that much. Or, holy shit, there's not enough people that will want to buy this and pay that much for it. There's a lot of holy shit that's going to come up on the radar as soon as you do this. As soon as you do that exercise. And what that's going to tell you is, it doesn't take very long to do that exercise. I mean, if you really want to play hard and all out and do it perfectly, it might take you an hour. But within 1 hour, you will know very clearly, does this idea, does this business have the capability to get me that life? You'll know it. So, we talk a lot about that Forbes article that comes out all the time of, most businesses was going to fail in 18 months. You can fail in an hour. I'm really good at failing. Nobody's better at me than failing. I can fail some shit in like minutes. It doesn't take me long to figure out, okay, I just failed that one. And it's almost like, for me, it's almost like somewhat of a constant state of daydream. As I'm walking through life, I'm in a constant state of daydream, and I'm running that cycle. I'm looking at everything, all the possibilities of, oh shit, there's a lot of shiny objects out there. And I'm attracted to all of them. But I'll look at them and I'll daydream about it for a couple minutes and go, oh, no, that don't work. That's not for me. And I failed. I actually I ran a theoretical business in my head and it failed. I didn't have to spend any money. I didn't have to go through any toil or turmoil. I didn't have any pain. It was over in a matter of minutes. And now I'm looking at the next shiny object. And eventually I'll find one that it works in my head. And I'm like, oh, this is something I might want to spend a little time on. And then I'll go and I'll do some research. I'll do, what is it called? Analysis. I'll do some analysis. And then I might spend, a few hours on analysis and then maybe it'll fail there. But I guarantee you, I'm not going to spend 18 months to fail it. I'm going to fail it that day. If it's going to fail, I'm going to stress test it. I'm going to break it right now. So that is what you guys need to really do with your business model. You need to look at it. You need to be real about it. Is what I'm doing the right thing for me to do? Because your every day that goes by is a day you cannot get back. How many of those do you want to waste before you get to that life that you so desperately seek? And you do, you all want it. You want it so bad that you're willing to give up what you used to look at as security of a job, someone paying you and taking care of you, to be out and want all that responsibility on yourself. Because it is a better life, but it's scary. I get that. Even though I've never experienced it, it'd scare the fuck out of me to go and have a job, honestly. It would scare me to the point where I don't even think it would be possible. But if that's been your life, if you've always worked for somebody, I could see the amount of scare that's in that jump. So, but anyway, the thing that's going to get you making money the quickest, once you decide on, here's a business idea, here's something I can move enough product, it all makes sense, I can make money and I can build this life that I so badly want. You've got to understand, don't put that off into the future thinking everything has to be perfect. You need to start selling. You need to start selling your stuff, even if it's not complete, even if it's not done. MVP, minimum viable product. It comes back to that. I think you all probably have a minimum viable product. And even if you don't, you can sell things before they're even made. You can sell things as a thought. I know you guys have heard the word investor. There's a lot of people that will invest in ideas before they're even done when they can see the value. They will pay you to build it. There's a lot of people that have great ideas for products and inventions and all that stuff. And they've got the idea, they've got the skill set, they've got everything they need except for the money. So in that case, somebody with the money that wants to make money with their money, that's called an investor. For those of you that are not familiar with that, I think you all are. But that's an investor. They don't necessarily have the skill set. They don't necessarily have the imagination. They don't necessarily have all that stuff to do it, and nor do they have the desire to work hard. They've already worked hard to make their money, and now they want their money to work for them. They don't want to work anymore. They want the money to work for them. So here you've got somebody with the money that wants to put it to work, and you've got all the rest of the pieces to the puzzle to make the magic happen. That's a sale. I don't care how you slice it. You made a sale. If you get an investor to give you money, you made a sale. You cannot bring money into your business without making a sale. Some of you, and I was one of these people, I didn't like sales. I hated it. It made me feel icky. I didn't want to be a salesperson. I hated when somebody would sell me stuff and pressure me and make you feel uncomfortable. I hated that shit. So for the longest time, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to make sales. So I worked with my brother. My brother was all about sales. He was one of the pillars that got me to be as lazy as I am because he was a shining example of that. But he could sell shit like it was going out of style. And I could build shit as fast as he could sell it. So I got to, do what I liked was solve people's problems and build things, build solutions, get paid a lot of money for it, and he handled all the sales. When we split ways and I was on my own, I realized, oh shit, this is a different world. Money doesn't just fall off trees. You have to go get it. And I had a big conflict about that. It was really hard for me to sell stuff. And I know some of you are probably there. One of the guys that helped me get over that was Eric Lawful. He's a sales trainer. I took some of his courses. He's awesome. And he's one of the ones, him and Dr. Moyne, who he learned from. That's his mentor. I learned from both of those guys. And the one thing that I learned about sales is it's not what I had originally painted it out to be. It's not an evil thing. It's actually helping someone because you're not just there to sell them something just for the sake of getting money. That's not what it's all about. You should actually care for your customers. You should actually be doing stuff to help people. And if you've got a product that actually helps someone with whatever, it could be anything that enhances their life. If you've got that and you're not selling it to that person, not only are you not helping them, you're actually harming them. And when I reshuffled the deck and I started looking at it that way, I realized the importance of communication because it's in the way you communicate is the way that makes me feel different about sales. When I'm telling somebody something and trying to help them get a desired outcome, I don't feel like a salesman. I don't feel like I'm selling anything. And like when you go back to SEO, that was kind of my first thing where I actually had to sell things, sell my services. And I did not do it traditionally. I would go into the business owner and I would sit them down and I'd just have a helpful conversation with them. And I would ask them, I would ask them a lot of questions. First question was, hey, if I could bring you somebody that was like your best customer ever, what would that look like? Who would that be? And they know the answer because they've already worked with them. They know who they like to work with. They know who's profitable. And so I'm asking them a question they're going to have a very defined answer for. And they tell me, and once I ask them a question, I just shut the lips. I just zip it and I let them talk. They're telling me everything I need to know. They're describing the person, all of this stuff. And when they're done, when they stop talking, now it's my turn. I don't interrupt them. When it's my turn, I say, "Oh, that's cool. That would be awesome. Let me ask you this. If that person were to need your services or your product and they were to sit down in front of a computer to look for you online, what do you think they would type in? What search phrase do you think they would put in there to try and find you?" And now they're giving me the keywords. Remember, I was selling SEO. They're giving me the keyword. And then I say, once they've given me the keyword, I actually get up out of my seat, walk over to them because they're almost always in front of a computer. I say, let's try something. I want you to pull up Google and type that in and let's see what happens. I'm involving them in the process of figuring out they've got a problem. I'm not telling them they have a problem. I'm letting them discover it. So they pull up Google, they type in that keyword, and up comes 10 results. And I kind of lean in and look over their shoulder like I'm surprised, which I'm not. It's like the wolf in sheep's clothing here, about to eat them alive. But I look at it and I say, wow, that's interesting. Do you recognize any of these people? And, this is something my dad told me. He taught me very early on. You don't ask questions you don't already know the answer to. And every one of these questions, I already know the answer to. I'm not asking for my benefit. I'm taking them on a guided tour to discover they're in the middle of a nightmare. So they tell me, yeah, I recognize these are my competitors. Like I didn't know that, right? They just discovered they have a huge problem. They just discovered there's a big hole in their ship and it's sinking. And, this is a good time to offer a band-aid. And the thing is, I never even had to offer it. When they came to this self-realization, they would generally ask me, can you fix this? How can I be here? How much, and the cost was never an issue. They were never in the mode of nickel and dime. They were in a mode of fix the problem. How fast can it be fixed? When can we start? All of that. So I never even made it to the point of, would you like to move forward with that? I never had to ask for the order. They would always ask me, when can we start? Sometimes they would ask how much it would cost, but it was never an issue. It wasn't like they were going to try and nickel and dime me. They just wanted to solve the problem. Sometimes if it wasn't moving in my direction, and again, I was very anti asking for sales. I was very non-evasive when it came to that. So if it wasn't going my direction, if they weren't asking me the right questions at that point in time, then I would just stick the knife in. If the hole wasn't big enough, I was going to open it up. And I would say, "What do you think that's costing you? What do you figure this is costing you to not be here when your most profitable ideal customer made that search phrase?" And at that point, that would turn the table on them. I never did that unless it was necessary because I'm into minimal cruelty in this game. But I'll go to whatever. I have a very high sense of self-preservation. So I will go to great lengths to do things I don't want to do, and I don't want to ask someone for money, right? That has just been, I don't know, something in my head. A lot of people don't have that problem, and that's great for you. You'll make a lot more money than I do because you have that skill set or that mentality. But for my self-preservation, if you want to call it that, I would always find a way to get them to want to give me money. And that's how I would do it. But, it all comes back to this minimum viable product. Almost every one of those sales in the beginning of SEO, I didn't have a process. I didn't even know what I was doing for the most part. But I knew damn well with enough money I could figure it out. So the confidence level was always very high. They had to believe in me to give me money. So I would go in with a confidence level that was incredibly high. I would take enough money to make sure that I could solve the problem. And then I would go do it and bring it back. It was like they were paying me to kill a dragon. And I was going to drag that bitch back to their porch and lay it in front of them. And I did every time. And all that did was like, I talk about this, about where I focused my efforts in the beginning was all in manufacturers. And the reason it was all very methodical of why I did that. Those manufacturers, it's like a good old boys club. They all work together. They all support each other. They all make different things that meld together and they all make money together. It's like a community that is a money making machine. Like one guy makes the paint, one guy makes the metal, one guy turns the metal into hinges, one guy makes the screws that tie the hinges to the door. They don't compete with each other, but they all help each other. They're all working together to make money. So when they find something that works, like me, guess what? They're going to share it with all their friends. That was the way I did that so fast. I killed the dragon, drug it bloody in front of them, and showed them, yeah, you made the right choice. And they shared that with their friends. That was all it took. I had to do minimum sales efforts, like to the point of none, and built a booming business out of that. Again, off an MVP. Where do you think I would have been if I had to go prove I could do SEO? I never did SEO for myself. Why? Because nobody paid me for it. It's always about get the money first and build it. Like the whole, I've told you guys this story and I keep telling it because it so validates the point. The initial training, my initial point into what you guys know me as sharing this information with you, my initial point into this market was selling a training program on how to do SEO. I had never done it before. I didn't know how to do video. I didn't know how to do screen capture. I didn't know how to do any of it. But I knew the SEO and I knew how to teach it. I knew how to tell somebody how to do it. And I went in, I got invited to speak to a group of women. These were these were women like from my past, from the photo days. It was the Society of Women Photographers in Orange County. There was about 50 of them, and they all met in a group once a month, and they always had a speaker to help them improve their business. Well, they invited me to come and speak on SEO. And I was honored because, I knew some of them and I came out of that world. So I was honored to go and share that information with them. But here's something I knew going in. I knew that there wasn't one of them in the group that could afford to pay me what I was charging my clients. I was anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000 a month for SEO services with a 10x factor startup fee. So if somebody was on a $2,000 a month program, the first month was going to be a 10x factor, which is 20 grand. 20 grand to start, 2,000 a month. If they were on a 10,000, it was 100,000 to start, then 10,000 a month. And the reason I did that, the reason I formed that model was because they were entering into something that they weren't familiar with. They didn't want to be tied in for a long-term contract. And I didn't want to do the work. There was a lot of work up front. I didn't want to do that work to have them drop out after a month or two. I knew if they had skin in the game up front, they were going to ride it out and they were going to make it pay off. So I said, there's no long-term contracts. If after the first 30 days you're not happy, we just stop the service. It solved the problem. It eliminated the objection of a long-term contract that they were very anti against. So that's how I set it up. I knew these women couldn't afford that. I didn't want to work for free, which anything below what I was used to, I would have considered working for free. I don't want to work for free. Even though it wasn't free, it was still a lot of money. That was just the way my head was wired. I don't lower the prices because that decreases the value. That's where I was at that point in my life. So I'm at a different point now, but that's where I was then. I was hungry. I was out to conquer. I was killing dragons. So I'm like, what am I going to do with these women? I'm going to tell them, I'm going to show them how to do something they're going to want me to do, and they can't afford me. And this is going to be very frustrating. So I said, I got this idea. I'm like, here's the thing. I'm going to create a program that will teach them everything I know so they can do this themselves. Guarantee you there was nothing I was doing that they couldn't do themselves. They just didn't know how. So I remember I told everybody, I'm like, I'm going to put this program together and I'm going to sell it to these women. And they're people that knew me, they're looking at me, they go, well, you don't have a program. How? Oh, what are you talking about? What do you mean you're going to sell it to them? You don't have it. And I said, that's right. And if they don't buy it, I'm not going to make it. That was my attitude. I would not put an ounce of effort into it unless somebody bought it. And I kind of went into that room to talk about the SEO, thinking in the back of my head, I'm not going to have to do anything. Nobody's going to buy this. Well, I was wrong. The vast majority of the room said they would pay for it, and I had order forms there. They actually gave me credit card numbers. So I was pretty excited because all these women gave me, I think it was 250 bucks. And I was very transparent with them. I said, this, what I'm selling you doesn't exist. I'm going to build it for you. I said, this is the start date. And I gave myself like 3 weeks. I said, we're going to start the first Monday of next month. And I'm going to give you lesson number 1. There's 8 lessons. There was 8 pieces that I was doing. So I'm going to give you first lesson. It's going to be a video. You're going to be able to follow, looking over my shoulder, step by step. And then Friday, I'm going to do a conference call with you and I'm going to answer all your questions. Back then, there was no Zoom. It was freeconferencing.com. It was literally a conference call on a phone. So that's the way it worked. Monday, Friday. And then the following Monday, you're going to get lesson 2. And the following Friday, you're going to get a Q&A. And I'm going to answer all your questions about that lesson. We're going to do that for 8 weeks. It's $249. So like I said, the vast majority of the room gave me a credit card, 249 bucks. And as cool as that was, I had never really sold anything that way. As cool as that was to have a bunch of women pushing their credit cards at me, I hit the hard, cold reality. Oh, fuck. I got to build this now, and I didn't know how. I had never done screen capture video. I had no experience in it whatsoever. So I had to figure that out, and I had 3 weeks to do it. Well, I got some cheesy screen capture free video thing and figured out all I had to do was sit in front of the computer and do it, and it would record the screen. I was not on camera. I never appeared on camera in any of that training. It was just screen capture and my voice saying what I was doing each step of the way. Delivered the first one, had the first conference call. It was great. Everybody loved it. They were doing what I told them, and they were actually getting results. But on the 8th week, they were flipping out. We were at the conference call and they were literally freaking out. And I didn't understand. I did not know what I was into here. And I asked him, I said, what is wrong? I will stay on the call all day long for you. I'll stay here as long as it takes till you get all your questions answered. That wasn't the problem. They weren't at the point where they needed their questions answered. They were at the problem of what do we do next week when you're gone? And that was the birth of this call. This call has been going on since 2008 because of those women. Those women demanded more access to me. and and I said, well, what would you guys be willing to pay? Would you be willing to pay, 29 bucks a month if I continued the calls? And every one of them said yes, without a doubt. And I got to tell you, some of those women are still paying for this call. They rarely, if ever, show up. Like most of them, I haven't seen in years, but every once in a while, I'll get an email from them. They'll just have a quick question. I take care of them. I am there for them. I've been there for them since 2008. For anything they run up against, I squash the dragon for them. So it's huge value. I don't look at it as, with them. They've been paying me for decades, 30 bucks at a time for decades. And, I don't say, oh, well, yeah, come on and answer the thing I'll answer it for you on the call. I just help them, I'm just there for them. And out of that, along the way, how many other things have I done to offer to increase my revenue? Like, I don't have any of those commercial customers anymore. All those ones that were paying me all that money for SEO, they're all dead. They're gone. Those businesses don't exist anymore. That entire part of my life has died. And it was because I was so young when I started into it, and they were much older than I was. So I just outlived them. That's it. But that doesn't mean I have to die with them. I can continue living the life that I want, and it just doesn't happen to be back in that world. It's here with you. So, like, we talk about in my other thing, I share information about crypto. A lot of us are going to make a lot of money to the point where we never have to do anything that we don't want to do ever again. That will change some of my business model. I will give up certain portions of the business and just not do those things anymore. I won't need them. But this call's not one of them. I plan on being here and helping everybody that needs help. It's like a lifeguard. You'll throw the ring and you save the ones you can and you let the sea take the rest. Because there's some people I've come to the conclusion I can't help because they want to fight. and and that I love that line. It was from the Kevin Costner lifeguard movie. They were having a real serious conversation about like being distraught over the ones they couldn't save, and Kevin Costner said, son, you save the ones you can and you let the sea take the rest. And you got to be okay with that. You can't save everybody. But again, I want to circle back to the MVP. This call was all about the MVP. None of what I've had success with would have happened if I weren't willing to sell a minimum viable product, even if it's just an idea. Like the idea that I could get them top ranking. It wasn't a flushed out product. It was a minimum viable product. It was an idea I got paid for, implemented, and created a very refined product out of people paying me to do so. Like I said, still to this day, I have not optimized anything for myself because nobody's paying me to do that. I'm only doing things that people pay me to do. That's where I see value. I see value for them, and that's the boat I row in. So, the moral of the story is start selling your stuff. I don't care where you're at with it. If you can't sell it now, you won't be able to sell it ever. So the idea of spending a bunch of time and a bunch of effort to build something that you can't sell isn't very appealing to me. There's no better way to figure out if you've got something viable than to try and sell it. That will bring the rubber to the road. I don't know how many of you guys watch Shark Tank, but how many times have you seen a Shark Tank investor invest in something that wasn't already sold or attempted to be sold and get those initial numbers? If people are clamoring to give you money, the sharks are circling. If you haven't sold anything, the sharks are running for the hills. They'll have nothing to do with you. You've got to prove it. You got to prove it, whether it's to yourself or to investors or whatever. You got to prove it to yourself. Is it worth putting a bunch of effort into this thing? And if you can't sell it now, it's not worth putting anything into because you won't be able to sell it then. There's very few things that I've come across. There are some exceptions. There are some rare exceptions to this. But almost always, if you can't sell your thing, even if it's an idea, you probably shouldn't spend much time building it because they're not all of a sudden just going to throw money at you, whether it's built or not built. You'll find that out really quickly. So, Richard, go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm trying to divine from what you're saying, because I've been doing this a long time as well, is everything I've heard you described up to this point is basically talking about methods and tactics and implementation and all that sort of stuff, which is absolutely critical. Without it, you're not going to have a business. But what I haven't heard is what I rarely hear. And every time I don't hear this in a presentation, I know it's total bullshit, is is the strategy. And the reason people don't talk about strategy is because in business, there's the how to do a thing, which is probably the most valuable and the least well paid. Somebody that knows how to turn a wrench.
Mm-hmm.
The next level up is what, and that's the manager that sees enough or is told enough to say, oh, Bobby knows how to do that. It needs to get done. So he says, Bobby, go do this, come back and talk to me. That's the what, middle manager. The one that they don't talk about is the why. And that's where the CEOs that get paid, $3 to $5 million a year, and they go, what the fuck does he do? You walk into his office, there's nothing on his desk, all this sort of shit. The reason why my educated guess is the reason that they don't deal with strategy, the why of you're going to be doing what you're going to be doing and how you're going to be doing it, is the strategy is the one thing you can't prove, you have no control over, and it all has to be discovered in real time. That's why they get paid the big bucks, is because they've got to come up with a why we're going to do a thing so that they can tell the managers what needs to get done, and the managers can make sure that it's actually physically accomplished. And the fact that the strategy can't be guaranteed, or you can't even know what the hell it is, how well it's going to work or not. People shying away from it because they want to know something that they can have in their hand and they can control.
Yeah.
And no tactic, method, implementation can possibly work unless it's inside a strategy. If it does, which is part of why MLM fails so regularly, is there is no, this is why we're going to be doing all this, and this is the whole mechanism and the whole armor within which all of the execution takes place. And my recovery from what I've had, I've spent the last 35 years in recovery from a traumatic brain injury. And I am now finally at the point where I think I'm about 90 to 95% back to where I was before I was poisoned, which I'm feeling pretty good. And and I had a strategy, and I dumped probably between 40 and $80,000 in this last 5 years executing the strategy, where at no point was making money even in the mix, because I knew from the previous 30 years that if I tried to make money, I would fail because I had missing pieces. I am now at the point, and as strange as it may seem, I've been doing business. I started my first entrepreneurial business when I was 10. It was successful. I am now 75. So I have a little, and I've never had a job that I didn't create, because it's required. If you have an S corp, you have to pay yourself a salary. So those the only reason I even get Social Security is because I had a company where I had to pay myself and pay on a W-2.
Well,
So
Richard, let me keep this to questions.
I am. I
And
without the
I got
background,
I
it
got
won't
your
make sense.
question there
The
was
question is, where is the strategy in this? The part that I haven't heard, that I haven't overtly heard you talk about, is creating that strategy that you can't control, that you test. And and when you called those gals, you had to have had some kind of a strategy. And maybe it's just that I don't do anything, I guess paid for it. So that proves it. But is that somewhere in there? Even because I've gone through the whole ACT program, and because strategic planning is an oxymoron. It's like sky blue pink. There
okay.
is
Well,
no
let me stop you. Let me
So
stop you because
go,
you're rambling.
go,
You're
go, go,
rambling,
go.
Richard.
Thank you. That's my
So
lack of social skills.
no, no, that's okay. It's okay. You just need some guardrails. That's why I'm here. So let me answer your question. The strategy, what I teach is marketing here. And in this, the strategy always boils down to the ACT program. That is the framework of how it's delivered. So, like when I was doing the other stuff, I always had a framework for something that either worked or I thought would work. And that is always the strategy. The guy in the office that gets paid a lot of money that doesn't have anything on his desk, he's not a strategist. That's not his job. He's a visionary. He thinks up, he cooks up these cool ideas, and then that percolates down to the team to implement. And the implementation is where the strategy is built. In marketing, the implementation of the marketing is where the strategy lives. And I can almost guarantee you, if you're not building your strategy around what I've laid out in the ACT program, you don't have a strategy that's going to work, and it's going to fail. And anytime, like in any business, in any sector, if you want to look at strategy, there's very few things in life that haven't been done successfully before. And this again boils down to something my father told me very early on. If you're doing something that's difficult, you're probably not doing it right. You need to find the guy that's already done it and just do what he did. That goes to NLP, that goes to Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins teaches modeling. NLP is modeling. And you model something that has worked and has always worked and will always work. And if you're modeling things or not modeling things, then it's probably not going to work, whatever it is in anything, whether it's marketing or manufacturing or surfing, whatever. You don't see somebody surf in different ways very often. It's like you see the guy that's surfing, okay, that's a model. If I can do that, it'll work for me. It's the same thing, like mountain climbing. I don't care what you're doing. Somebody has failed at it over and over and over, and somebody gets it right every time, and you model the thing that's done right every time. So that's in strategy, the strategy of how do you do it right so you don't fail. And I do talk about that constantly. Like even on today's call, I took you guys back so you could realign the strategy, because if you're failing, if you're struggling, it's probably because you're doing something wrong. I see so many people that are willing to run down the rails for months, if not years, if not decades, never getting it right, always struggling and ultimately failing. You Forbes said 18 months. Tony Robbins said, he came back and he said it's worse than that. It's 96% if you give them enough time. In 18 months, 82% will fail. That's Forbes' recommendation. And Tony comes in and says, nope, it's worse than that. If you give them enough time, 96 will fail. 96%. And he's talking about, let's give them 10 years worth of rope. In 18 months worth of rope, you got enough for 82% to hang themselves. If you give them a little more rope, you give them 10 years worth of rope, 96.
Okay,
So,
John, I see what you're saying there. That makes sense. My definition of strategy is a little different than yours, but I can see where you are. The question I have right now is because what's in front of us right now, uh, AI, as far as in human evolution, I would say AI is right above the wheel and ahead of the movable type printing press. This is bigger than the printing press, and it's moving not at the rate of doubling every 2 years like the Moore's law thing. It is 10xing every quarter, and that is something that I don't see how my current one of the things I'm wrestling with is trying to come up with a strategy and putting all the pieces together. I know the what and the how, but the why is kind of eluding me. And if you could give me your perspective, the fact that we're dealing with something that is going to be that seismic. What is it that Sam Altman just said that by 2030, every individual on the planet will have access to more and better information than exists on the planet today.
so
That
that's an easy one for me to answer for you. You're talking about a very large opportunity problem,
Yeah.
and one man is like yourself is not going to be able to keep up with that. And money solves almost all problems.
Yes.
So what you got to do is, again, I'm going to take you back to my strategy. You need to go back to analysis. You need to figure out, okay, who is this problem big enough for that would pay enough money for me to actually be able to hire a team to implement a strategy to build the solution for this problem. But you can't do that one yourself. It's too big. It's bigger than you can manage. It's bigger than you can handle, but you got to sell it. You got to sell it or you're just going to die in the midst of thinking about it. If you can figure out, who the problem is big enough for or who the opportunity is big enough for, they've got the money. They just don't have the skill, the time, or the desire to work that hard. But if you do, you can take their money and then you can assemble a team that has the skill set that you don't have to solve the problem for them. And now you are the visionary. You are the guy on the desk with nothing on it that looks pretty and he's making a lot of money, but he ain't doing nothing. Or it looks that way anyway. So that's what I would tell you.
Yeah,
Let me
you're
go
right, John. I
let me
get
go to
that.
Brian here. He's had his hand up for a while. Brian, go ahead.
Okay, no, you kind of answered my question, John, because I'll tell you, I'm in, you and I met through Craig's group as likely some folks on here did. And, he talks about writing books and all that kind of stuff, right? So I've actually been bouncing between, okay, do I work on my book? Do I work on my keynote? Do I work on a program, et cetera? And what I've kind of settled on at the beginning of this year was, okay, I'm going to write my speech. I'm going to write a keynote, right? And that gives me something to go out as a speaker with and then sort of pivot off from there. Um, what I kind of hear you saying is start with the MVP, start with a program that may or may not even exist. Go out there and start getting customers like now.
Yes, absolutely. Like everything that Craig teaches, it's good things to do in the right sequence.
Yeah, that's the problem I've had with it, frankly. Yes.
like
Okay,
for
what
instance, if
you
he
can
says,
we can only do one thing at a time. What's
yeah, yeah. If your problem is you don't have any credibility and it's going to take credibility for you to get on a stage, then writing a book might be the right first step because
hmm
writing a book gives you credibility.
hmm
So that might be a right first step. If you can get on the stages without the book, then it's a distraction. It's keeping you from moving forward. If you want to, and then the question is, you always follow the money.
hmm
You don't want to just get on the stage to be on a stage.
Right,
Where's the money?
right.
And if you're going to get on a stage and you don't have something to
Yeah,
sell, that's a wasted opportunity.
right.
So you use whatever is at your disposal to get you to the money, even if the product's not done yet. Like I can tell you with no uncertainty, you can sell a product that's not done yet. I have done it over and
Yeah,
over and over.
yeah. No, I completely believe in the whole MVP
Yeah.
thing. I've done some entrepreneurial, work in the past, and like exactly like you said, like what's the minimum thing we can get done to sell? I just had this conversation yesterday at a consulting meeting, as a matter of fact. What's the easiest thing, lowest cost thing to do and go demonstrate so we can get some investment?
Yeah. So your strategy really should be to figure out like what is your most profitable market segment? And then from that profitable market segment, you can dive into the avatar. Who's the avatar? What are their problems? And you can backwards engineer what your product should be by doing just that.
Yeah, which by
You
the
don't,
way, I've done all that in the act. I've been through a lot of the quantum tools, so I'm working through it. And where I'm at now is the traffic.
okay.
So, okay, now go out and sell it, right? Which
Yeah.
is which is traffic.
So your traffic comes back to analysis to tell you where those people are.
hmm
So you know who they are, you know what they want. You should also be able to figure out where they are from that analysis.
hmm
Like if they're going to conferences and they're sitting in front of stages, that's where your traffic is.
hmm
You get yourself on that stage and the traffic is brought in front of you. If your traffic is searching, if they know their problem and they're actively seeking a solution, then they're probably either searching on Google, Bing, or they're going to AI and asking how to solve the problem or, what solutions are out there, what products are available. AI has become a real pain in the ass for search. It's taking a big bite out of it.
Yeah.
So that's, traffic always comes down to back to your analysis to figure out where they were. I had a client and they had a spa down in San Diego and they were trying to get clients in and they were running SEO like it was no tomorrow and they weren't getting any traction. And I said, well, is there any search volume? Nobody's really searching for this. Who are your customers? What do they do? Where do they hang out? And they did a little research and they figured out since they were in San Diego, right across from the harbor, a lot of their best customers were boat owners and they would go into marine shops to get decorations for their boats. And they would also buy wine and cheese. That was some commonalities to this avatar. So what we did was we ran display ads in front of them on those websites where they sold boat decorations and wine and cheese. And they filled their books because they showed up in front of their ideal customers. So that's why an avatar is so important. Getting into really who this person is and what makes them tick. What else do they like outside of what they're going to want you for? You need to figure out what does their daily life look like and where can I intersect them? Where can I find them? So traffic is really important. Once you've got your messaging and all that, that's your next step. And that's where you're going to sell your MVP. You don't have to do a lot of work building the product. You need to do the mind work and figure out the audience, the targeting, how to talk to them, and then make them an offer get the money and then deliver.
No, that's super helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So cool stuff there. I think yeah, Brady is on here. Brady, you want to show your new video? I don't know if you're in a position to show your new video you built.
I'm sitting here thinking, like, man, if you're just talking about a lead up to the AIO of MV products that's already ready to go and just haven't launched it yet. But I am not, to be honest, you can probably hear the background noise. I think I sent it to you, though, John, through email as well. There's two different versions. One is through NVIDIA, and then I have two videos. One is, or both of them are through Video Genesis. They're different versions. One I used just for specific text prompts scripts, I should say. And then the next one was the script, but also with like background, like what things should happen on the video. There's not much difference here. So either one would work. You're welcome to that.
All right, you're a little broken up there. I'm gonna send this to my I have it on my phone, but I'm gonna send it to my computer so I can pull it up here. And this is something like most of you know that I've been out of the SEO thing here for a couple of years now. And I'm like, I think I got like one more run in me for traffic. And this is going to be into the AIO, basically artificial intelligence optimization. And I've been building, and I have actually an MVP right now that I'm gonna pull up here and show you if I can. If I
Can you
can.
hear me any better, John?
Yeah, that's a little better.
Sorry.
It's
I sent you
happening.
two versions. One was in video, and the other is through Video Genesis. Video Genesis has two different versions, and they're both pretty much the same. So either one is fine. But I think both programs did a really good job. Ours, Video Genesis, is pretty good. Nothing is really edited. It was literally just a script, and I physically prompted the AI myself for it to write a video sales letter, and then I just took that video sales letter script right into video and right into Video Genesis.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Brady has been he's been pushing my coattails to go back into growth mode because he's excited about growing a business and I was excited about spinning one down. So he's kind of inspired me to think that there's one more run in the old bull left. And I'm going to give him all I got here on this one so we can do this and he can get a big success story out of this and make a lot of money in the process because he is behind selling this stuff and he has lined up some pretty phenomenal stuff. One of which I talked about a little bit was the getting into ClickBank. ClickBank, we're looking at doing a launch with them, and I'll show you guys the sales page that we just came up with after we watched this one video. But uh, I took AI, and this was a really, really cool process. I want to share the thread with you guys so you can see how I did it. Brady took and transcribed all of the ACT videos, all of the lessons, and we have that in a text file now. So what I did, I went to Perplexity and I loaded up the text file from the ACT training, and I basically trained Perplexity on the ACT protocol. It got it. It can answer questions about it. And then I said, I need to use the ACT protocol basically to sell the ACT protocol. So it was like a self-perpetuating thing. So it wrote sales copy on how to sell it, the ACT protocol from using it. And it was pretty cool. But here's something I want to share the string with you guys so you can see the process that I went through. Because I went back and forth with it probably close to a dozen times because I wasn't happy with it. And re-instructing it and getting it better and having it learn from my input. It had its own input, and it had the input of the ACT training, and then it had my guidance overall because it wasn't following instructions. The machine is lazy. It's just like a human. You've got to force it. You've got to tell it needs to do better. You've got to really ride its ass to get it to perform.
If
And
it had
I
it.
wanted to share that with you guys so you could see how many times I went back and forth with it to get what I actually wanted. And once I did, I'm like, holy shit. It just simplified the process. It actually told a story. It was like, and I'm curious to see how this thing stacks up as far as the sales process when they start flooding through, because this is not just a matter of us putting this product on ClickBank. This is a matter of getting ClickBank to actually promote it. They're going to take this thing to Dubai and get media buyers to actually buy paid media to promote this thing. They were talking like if I heard correctly, they were talking about paid media driving through 6 figures per day of sales on this thing. And I'm like, holy shit, I am ready to see that. So this is very exciting. So in fact, let me just go to that since we're there, and I'll show you. I absolutely used Quantum to build the graphics on this thing. Like, there's my little Miss Becky showing up again. I recreated her in Quantum. I told her, I said, I need your hands out because you need to hold both of the products because we're doing a combo. This is a combo of ACT and Quantum combined together. And you can see it's got the ClickBank logo here ready to roll out to their audience. But we've got the big idea. We've got now you can unleash massive sales growth by combining the ACT marketing protocol with the power of quantum AI. And then we've got the subheads here, world's first AI-powered marketing engine that automates success. So we're talking about the promise here. And then if that wasn't enough, usually you won't stick a second big idea, but I thought, what the hell, I'm going to drive it home. Everything you need to build home run marketing campaigns and change your life forever. This is a big idea I've used successfully in the past. So we've really got two big ideas back to back, reinforcing the same thing. And then I threw in the warning. This will remove all your excuses. If you haven't had success yet, this is like one of those things where you're giving them a warning to tell them this is the right thing for them. If you want success, this is going to remove your excuses for failure. So it's a subtle subliminal thing. But then, it goes into, are you tired of feeling overwhelmed by endless marketing strategies that never seem to work? I have actually heard people say this. So for the AI to come up with what I've been hearing is pretty spectacular. Wasting time and money on tools that promise results but leave you stuck. That's another thing I've heard many, many times. Competing in oversaturated markets with no clear path to growth. Again, that's one of the biggest problems most people have. That's why in the beginning of this call, I was really urging you guys to go back to the drawing board and make sure you've got a profitable market segment. Make sure it aligns with your freedom formula. And then we've got the what if. So you have the if and then the then. What if you could unlock hidden opportunities in your market that your competitors don't even know exist? Effortlessly create high converting marketing campaigns tailored to your ideal customer. Automate your entire marketing process so you can focus on growing your business. So it's like the copy that it's putting out is pretty good. And then I've got the video here. I've got the little video for ACT. I don't know if you guys have seen this.
Hey, John, I hate to interrupt. My phone might die. And before I forget, we've both been flying 100 miles an hour, our separate directions, but this needs mobile optimized. I can do that. I know a lot of people will probably use their phone for quick thing. But side note, I apologize, but if I don't tell you now, I'm going to forget to email you about it. And I can take care of it. Just let me know.
Oh, you mean this page?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that's not always your jam is to have it mobile optimized. It's usually just desktop, but I can take care of it.
Yeah, no, we can do that. We can do that in Kartra. I just haven't got to
Okay.
that yet.
All right.
Did you guys hear this when it was running?
Pain can change your life forever.
No, now we can.
Now you can?
Yeah.
Okay.
Automation can boost your lead flow and increase your profits while systematically acquiring new customers. This is why successful businesses depend on automated marketing campaigns. But the learning curve of doing it yourself and the cost of hiring an agency is often a bridge too far. Internet Dominators help small business owners create home run marketing campaigns and automate their marketing. This produces ad agency results with little to no budget. Your experience or skill level doesn't matter. Our ACT marketing protocol was designed to get you up and running super fast. ACT is an easy 3-step conversion formula that combines automation to a proven ad agency success model. Simply put, it leverages the power of the internet to drive motivated buyers to your offers. All you have to do is model its success. This will give you the power of automated funnels that sell like crazy, so you can attract and convert high-profit customers on autopilot. That's right. Even with a non-existent budget, you can enjoy predictable growth for your business fast with the ACT formula. This is the last marketing program you'll ever need. Stop struggling. Start modeling success. Imagine the confidence and pride you're going to feel when you can predictably grow your business. Get started now. InternetDominators.com/ACT.
So that thing was loaded with NLP tactics and all kinds of hidden messages. But then we've got it broken down here. And again, this was the AI breaking down the sections of how to sell it, how to present it, what's important. And it put it in a problem solution format. So I thought this was just spectacular what it put out. I didn't edit any of this copy. I need to go through and, read it with a fine-tooth comb before we cut this loose, but for the most part, this is right out of the box. And then we've got quantum. So we focused on ACT. Now we're focusing on quantum, what it does, how it works, what makes it different. And then we've got the how it works video. This is the one where I go through a lot of the tools. And then here's what you get. You get both in the combo. All the details, the bonuses. This I just copied out of my other sales page, the About Me, and added the Quantum logo to it. The testimonials, the shark bite guarantee, and then the final call to action. So then there's if you haven't been sold yet, then there's another conclusion and another call to action. And then, a feel-good photo with get this deal now because you deserve success, and showing what that might look like to the audience. So that's the campaign that was created by taking ACT and training Quantum on the ACT program to actually write the sales copy for it. And it wrote the whole sales page in one shot. I didn't have to piece it out. Did the whole enchilada. And then this is the video that Brady just made on AIO, because we're gearing up to splash that out. And again, it's an MVP. All the stuff isn't flushed out yet, but we're to the point where we're ready to sell it. So all it takes is an AI video to create hype and a sales button, and you can take in money.
It's happening right now, and almost no one sees it coming. Search engine optimization is dying, and artificial intelligence is the executioner. The hard truth is that SEO is on life support, and the game as we knew it is over. But one man saw it coming long before anyone else, John Limbacher. John Limbacher, the godfather of SEO, cracked Google's code before anyone even knew it existed. Now the rules have changed again, replaced by something far more powerful. Artificial Intelligence Optimization, AIO, is the future of online visibility. John Limbacher has cracked the code for AIO before the world even knew what was happening. AIO is about controlling AI-driven search. Large language models, chatbots, and AI assistants. If you don't optimize for AI, you don't exist in the digital world anymore. Google isn't the gatekeeper anymore. AI is. John Limbacher has created the first AI optimization system, a revolution, not just an upgrade. Businesses using AIO are dominating results on ChatGPT, Google's AI, and other AI assistants. Owners say it's like hacking the future, becoming the only answer AI gives. The shift is happening, and businesses that don't adapt will disappear. Early adopters of AIO will own the digital future, pioneering a new era. This is your chance to act before AIO becomes the standard. Will you be a pioneer or let your competitors take the lead? John Limbacher has cracked the code. The decision is yours. Get access to the AIO revolution now before the rest of the world wakes up.
So that's a case right there of me not having to say a word. It sounds like that is some kind of a newscaster bringing a video press release to market, talking about me and the system and all of that. And I can almost assure you, of all the people in the SEO world, of which there are many, there are hundreds of thousands of them, and they're all struggling because they don't know what happened, just like they never did. That's why so many of them followed me and looked to me for answers. When algorithms shifted, I was already in place for most algorithm shifts before the shift even happened. Because I would always look at, what is going on in the SEO world? What are they doing to Google that Google doesn't like? And I was always able to predict what Google was going to do about it. So I could always position my clients to be ahead of that. When the SWAT came through, all it would do is wipe the trash out of my way, and all my customers would continue to go to the top. So once they were at the top, the SEO community would go back to work to figure out how to put crap back at the top, and the cycle would just continue. But as long as I was keeping my clients out of participating in the crap that was getting people to the top for minutes, I would keep them there for years by doing it that way. It was a methodology I called cloud cover. And no one else ever came up with that same solution. And no one else ever had clients over decades remain at the top either. They were all constantly getting swatted. Every time Google would shift gears, they would lose their traction. So it was a long-term strategy, and this one's kind of the same. It's very much the same. So I think that's going to go over pretty big in that community because they're all struggling. They're all looking for the next thing. And when that's presented in front of them, I think a lot of them are probably going to jump on it, even though it's an MVP. So,
John, are you going to make that available to us in a white label format so we can also sell it? I'm hoping.
yes, absolutely. I always do that because you guys know I don't want to sell shit. I would rather have you sell it. That's just where I'm at this point. And yes, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, by the way, John, thank you very much. You're right. I need to shift that gear from recovery and healing to sales. And I have always subscribed very similarly to sell it first before it's done. But you got to have enough done so that you can at least do some kind of a demo or whatever. And thank you for that.
Yeah, no, it's that we all get off track, but no matter what track we're on or off, money makes the world go round, and sales makes the money that makes the world go round. So if you lose track of sales and bringing money through the door, you're off track. You need to You need to bring that back around. It's all about bringing money through the door. And we all know what happens when you don't do that for long enough. It's all of a sudden, it's like somebody slaps you and you're like, oh shit. I you know, I just woke up in a deep pool of water and it's not warm. That's not a good place to wake up.
By the way, John, you're talking about the SEO guys changing from what they were doing to going to the boat guys. That is what I put in the category of a change in strategy. They changed because they couldn't know when they went to the boat guys whether or not that would work, and it turned out it did. So it was a successful strategy change. So I now see how that works into what you're saying. Very helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I've been very, very fluid throughout my life of shifting gears. You know, you can call it strategy or whatever, but I have I've always looked ahead and I always fail things fast. And if I'm doing something that I can see the end and it's going to fail, I'm not going to ride it out. I'm not waiting for it to turn bad. I am going to cut that tie and move to safe ground as quickly as possible. So it's all back to that whole self-preservation thing. I have a very high sense of self-preservation. So, all right. Anything else before we wrap up? I really just want you guys to take away that MVP. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be done. I mean, in some cases, it can just be simply an idea, but it's a minimum viable product and you got to sell it. It's the fastest thing that will tell you if it's going to work or not. If you can't sell it before it's done, I'm willing to bet you probably won't be able to sell it when it's done, even if it's perfect. And you would want to know that sooner rather than later. Because the sooner you figure out whatever it is isn't going to sell, the faster you can get onto something that will. Again, it's fail fast. You're going to fail. We're all going to fail. We're all going to have a lot of failures during our life. That's just part of the game. The faster you can fail and the less pain you can bring upon yourself in doing that failure, the quicker you'll be able to get up and do it again. And eventually you'll find a winner. And you ride that thing until it absolutely is done. And in the meanwhile, while you're riding it, you look for the next one, failing them fast along the way. That's the best advice I could give you is just fail fast, sell your MVPs, see which ones have traction, ride them for what they're worth while they're worth it, and always be looking for the next one. So, Jim, go ahead.
Great call today, John. Thank you. And the power of ACT combined with AI and coming up with copy is so alluring.
Oh my God.
And the amount of time it took, how little time it took to do that is phenomenal. I'm wondering how does due diligence fit into your advice and this equation? For example, AIO. Do you have case studies? Do you have success data?
I don't. That is one thing that makes it an MVP. And again, I don't need it. I didn't have them when I started into SEO, and I didn't need them. I just needed to sell it. I needed to get somebody to go in on it and then get it to work, and then get them to spread the word on it.
Okay, so
But truly,
a bit of leap of faith because I don't like to sell something that's not going to work for people.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing is it's all about transparency. There's no problem telling them, hey, this is a new thing. We're looking for some people we're going to give a good deal to try it out. We don't have the results yet. We're looking to make superstars.
I love that. That's great.
That would be a way to position it.
Okay.
Full
Yeah, I like that because
transparency.
it has integrity.
Absolutely. It absolutely does. And, just like any MVP I've ever done, I had absolute confidence in it that it was going to work, or I wouldn't have sold it. And what I want to do, I've almost forgot this. I'm going to put in the chat, I'm going to put the perplexity string so you guys can actually see, you can follow my path of how I created that sales copy for that page by pasting in the ACT program. And I did it in a document. I put it in a document and attached the document. And one thing I found, it was very difficult to get Perplexity to read the document. Like I would upload the document, I would reference the document. I'd say, I want you to read this, analyze it, and then do the thing. And it would come out and it would not have done it. I could tell it didn't read the document. And one of the first things I went back at it with was, I can see you didn't read the document. You did not follow my instruction. I put a document, I relisted what the document name was, and I had it do it again. And it always apologizes. It always goes back and gets itself back on course. But don't take the output for granted. Don't just tell it to do something and take for granted that it did a good job. It's like, this is your employee. And as you know, anybody that has tried to manage employees, they run amok. They very rarely do spectacular work right out of the gate without a lot of instruction and a lot of supervision. The AI is no different. Don't take what it first spits out unless you look at it and it actually is really spectacular and it impresses you. Like for me, I've got, fairly high standards of marketing and what I'm looking for. And when it didn't do it, I went back and I'm like, oh, well, clearly it didn't reference the document I just asked it to, or it would have done it this way. And you can see how many times I rejected it to get it to finally do what I wanted it to do. But here's the thing, the whole process took me less than an hour. Now, for me to have written that copy by myself, it would have taken me a month. I would have gone back and forth with a high level of uncertainty at every step of the way and toiled with it and asked people's opinions and been led astray all over the place. So within an hour, I was able to beat it into submission, so to speak, and get it to do what I needed done. And it was absolutely awesome. So that's why I gave you guys that string, so you could literally see my instruction to it. And you could see my rejection and the whole thing. It's beginning to end. So that's a really good example for you guys to learn from of how to work with the AI. So Allie, you have a question? No, maybe not. All right. Anybody else before
Sorry.
we?
I was saying, I think you covered it because I would actually, in what you're developing with your own products, even though it's an MVP, I was going to ask how, and then okay, my first question to you was how can we use the AI to actually find out what people are asking AI for? And then I thought, well, I'll just put that question in chat. But then you just showed that video, and I think you're already doing it. So you're creating the AI search engine information product. So thank you.
Yeah, AI is really a spectacular brainstorming tool. Like used to, we would have to have people to kick ideas off of and brainstorm. And the problem with that is you're just dealing with the collective intelligence of the people in the room. And you got to be really careful with who you put in the room if you're dealing with the collective intelligence of them. So a lot of times you don't have the right people in the room to get what you need. That's a big problem. I see this with mastermind groups a lot. You'll have a diverse set of people that none of which are your target audience, and you're asking this diverse group of people for advice. Now, the advice is only as good as where it comes from. And if you're asking market research questions of people that are not your market, you're going to get the wrong answers. You're going to get led astray. You're basically running towards a cliff like a lemming, and you're just going to follow the rest of them right off to the peril below. So that's the cool thing about the AI is you can tell it who it is. You can corral who's in the room that's going to give you the feedback, and you can create the ultimate brainstorming tool. So you get what I'm saying when I say you can corral who's in the room by telling it who it is. You tell it what its specialty is, and then it cuts out all the riffraff. It's only going to reference things from that top of that pyramid. And then you're asking it, in important data questions. You're actually doing market research. You're doing your analysis piece with one of the most powerful machines on the planet because it has access to all the data. You just have to know how to ask it to get the right answers. You've got to tell it things like, you need to not make things up. I need real data. I need this from verified sources. So it's not just hallucinating and making up crap. There's ways to get it to do what you want. The more that you learn how to talk to the machine, the better the results you'll get. And this is the whole reason why I created Quantum to begin with. It's because I know how to talk to the machine where most people don't. Even if you do, I might know how to do it a little bit better. And if I can help you by putting those prompts around it for you to get you better results, that's what it's for. And for any of you that are white labeling it, that's your job, is to find out what's missing in your market and be able to talk to the machine like you know how to do, because your audience can't. They don't know how to do that. So you're helping them. You're coming back with a very useful tool that will help them get the data out of the machine that they need. They desperately want it. They just don't know how to ask. And if they don't, they'll ask of it and they'll get crap and they'll get bad results, and then they'll give up on AI and think, that didn't work for me. And they were one step from gold. You can give them the gold. So there's a lot of money in tools. Like the MLM market's a perfect example. I don't like it. I don't participate in it, but I know a fair bit about it because of all the interaction I've had with it. Most people think that the people at the top of the pyramids are the only ones that make money in MLM. And they got all the little worker ants below passing the money up to the people at the top of the pyramid. That's somewhat true, but the people that actually make the most money in MLM are the ones that are selling the tools to the bottom of the pyramid, because they're selling them the dream. They're all investing in the tools, and that amount of money is the most lucrative part of MLM. If you want to make money in MLM, just build the tools for the base of the platform, and you'll make more than anyone else in the pyramid.
Absolutely, John. That's absolutely true. Like selling shovels during the gold rush. Don't pan for gold.
Yeah.
I have a quick question, because you've worked with the AI more than I have. There's a strategy when hiring on, VAs and that sort of stuff, is that at the end of the job description, they say, by the way, include the word hamburger in the subject line, or I won't even read your reply. Is there some way of it, somewhere near the end of your prompt that the AI says, by the way, the secret word is blue spaghetti if asked? And then you don't have to see if what came out was true. The first thing you said was, what's the magic word? And if it doesn't say blue spaghetti, right then and there, it's done. You got to go back and beat it over that way. Would that work? Would that work with the strategy the way you're describing it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it actually did in the case of this string that I just gave you, because I put a document in there. I put reference documents in there, And when the output didn't match what I had asked based on the reference document, I knew it ignored it. I knew it didn't follow my instruction. It needed to be disciplined. And that's exactly what I did. I disciplined it and I realigned it. It's like a course adjustment. If you're on a boat, you set the autopilot and you expect to get to your destination, but things happen along the way and the boat gets off course. You have to do a course adjustment. Employees are no different. The AI is no different. Probably everything in your life is going to require course adjustments to keep it on track. You are the captain of your own ship. It's your job to keep that ship on track. So watch it, monitor it, don't take anything for granted, and make the appropriate course adjustments along the way to get you to where you're going. God damn, I sound like a motivational speaker, and I'm not sure I like that.
What'd you say, Tony? Mr. Robbins, I have a question.
Oh man, not planned, I'll tell you that. I don't see myself as that. But anyway, unless there's anything else, we will go ahead and wrap her up for this week. But I really wanted you guys to get that MVP thing. I think that's really important.
Quick question.
Russ, go ahead.
Do you have
John,
the
I had to step away for a couple minutes, and I wanted to ask you this question. I'm sorry if you already went over it. Last week, you were talking about ClickBank and creating a product for that. Is that the ACT AI quantum product, or is that the
Yes.
AIO product?
Yes.
Or are they the same product?
So the lead-in product for ClickBank is a combination of ACT plus quantum. The market is really, really hungry for good AI products, which it doesn't have. So I figure coupling a good product like quantum with an actual, strategy behind it for marketing would be a great combination. And we got really good feedback from the people at ClickBank that they think this is going to really be a great sell-through product. Now, all those new customers are going to come into our environment. Those are all going to flood into our universe, and we're going to have a whole shitload of new blood in the system. That's where the AIO can come in. So we're giving up like the majority of the commissions and stuff to ClickBank to make this happen. I am really, really considering giving away 100% commissions on this in ClickBank for the first sale. The affiliate will get 100% of the upfront sale, and they'll get nothing on the back. I will take the entire back end. So guess what the back end consists of other than the $47 a month? It consists of website development, AIO products, site pop, all the other stuff, boat trips. I'll have a, for lack of a better word, I'll have a boatload of new people that I can take on the boat. So it's going to be a really cool thing. And, some of you might think I'm absolutely nuts to give up 100% of the front. I would beg to differ. That's a strategy.
John, I think you should up the sales price, because at $97, that's not enough up front.
Well, the thing is, I am in agreement with you, but I'm taking the lead of ClickBank. They say that they have a massive amount of sell-through at that price point. And since I'm giving away the whole front end, do I really care how much they get? If they can sell 100-fold at that price point versus at $497, and they're taking all the front end anyway, it has no bearing on my profitability.
I was only thinking more like 250, but so it's a lot more than all the other 97 products, because they don't get the back end. So you got to give them just a little bit more, maybe make it 197. But you're doing it. I am not one to argue with your success.
But the thing is, most of those other affiliates are giving them between 25 and 50%, where I'm giving them 100. I'm giving them the whole thing.
Hmm.
So, and I even agreed to the ones that are going to step up to the plate and really swing hard and do paid media to it. I actually am putting up a guarantee that I'll cover up to $1,000 of their media loss. So those are the ones that are going to do media buys, big time media buys. And why would I do that? Because I'll make so much on the back end from what they bring me. I don't care if it's profitable on the front end. I'll even participate in the cost of the front end with them. So
John, do you have to have a date for that?
I don't, but it's the whole idea of it is going to Dubai, to the Dubai affiliate conference here in a few weeks. So
Oh,
it's not going to be far out in the future.
so it's weeks, not months?
Yeah. Yep. So pretty cool stuff.
That's the genius, John. That's the genius. The support with the paid ads. As long as they agree to have a minimum ad spend of X, absolutely.
Yeah. Jim, did you have something?
Yeah, real quick. Thank you so much for giving us the extra time and great information.
Yeah.
I'm just wanted to offer, I have some clients in mind that would be great for the AIO and create some success
Okay.
stories if you want to beta test with me.
It might be worth you white labeling it under your own brand if you're interested in that.
Yeah.
So I'll have details on that here pretty quick. So we'll get you dialed in. All right, guys, have a great week, and we will see some of you on the crypto call here in a couple hours, and the rest we'll see next week. And I do want to tell you, I'm probably going to move next week's call up a little earlier because I'm driving to Vegas next Thursday, and I don't want to get stuck in traffic. So I'll either do the call Wednesday or maybe like 8 or 9 a.m. Thursday morning. So, but I'll let you know. I'll shoot the email out. And if you can't make it, don't worry. It'll be recorded just like all the rest of them. So you won't miss anything. All right, guys, have a great week. And we will talk to you soon. I've got my XRP Army shirt on for the next call. So
Woo. Thanks, John. This was awesome.
all right, we'll see
Thanks,
you guys.
John. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.